Okay, good tavach everyone. Welcome. As we are sponsored here tonight by A.B. Spry for nachas from the entire family for many, many years, and by Michal Avram Chavin for gesund for all of us to finish Shas. And we are beginning here with welcoming in Shimon Klein and Saba. We welcome in Aaron Swade. We welcome in Mel Zachter, Shimon Deer, A.B. Spry, Stephen Holtzman, Nachman Chapler, Ben Cian Cohn, Marshall Castle, Michael, Yitzi Fuchs, Irving, Mark Frankel, Moshe Lehman, Shelley Zeitlin, Yuda from Yerushalayim, Ilya Shutman, Naftali Javelin, Ruvain Shanit, Chaim Braun. We welcome in here in Shul so far, Michal Avram and Berish Gesemin, David Helfgott on Kalalashin, and we are ahead. We are ahead on Ayin Tes Amud Aleph, and we are holding by Amar Rabba Bar Rav Huna, which is 11 lines from the top. 11 lines from the top of Daf Ayin Tes Amud Aleph. Again, 11 lines from the top as we welcome in Yitzi Muller and Abe Arbach joining us. And Shalom Fogel sent me a text. He sends us all regards and best wishes. He's in Eretz Yisrael for a few weeks. So he said he's not playing hooky and he hopes to rejoin us soon. So the Gemara says now as follows. Amar Rabba Bar Rav Huna, Amar Rav. Rabba Bar Rav Huna says in the name of Rav, Hasaycher es hachamar likavayleha. So what happened over here is his marshal rented a donkey from Abi to ride upon it, and it died half the journey. In other words, he rented it to go from Chicago to Lakewood, and it died on half the way. So he was paying AB for the journey $1,000. So he has to pay AB $500, and he only could have complaints, but no other claim.
Which claim?
So the Gemara says, let's see. The Gemara says, Hey Chidami, what's the situation? If Marshall could rent another donkey at Midway, so then Tarumas Mayavidite, why would he have any tightness on Abi? He could rent another donkey. And if he can't rent, so he's stuck at Midway, so then then why does he have to pay him at all? Says the Gemara, but what happened is, his marshal was going to sell stuff. And at Midway, there was a market where he could also sell the stuff. So Abi told him, if you wanted to bring it to these markets, wouldn't you have to pay anyway? So I helped you to get to the markets at the midpoint, and therefore that's why he has to pay. So now the Gemara says, well, it's still not clear. Hey Chidami, if he said that I'm renting you a donkey, so if the donkey died, so Marshall could demand that Abi should, give him another donkey. And if he said, Abi said, I'm renting you this donkey. So now, here's the thing. The donkey died. He could sell the carcass of the donkey to some goyish place. So, if there's value in the carcass to buy another donkey, to sell it and buy a cheaper donkey, Yikach. So the Gemara says, and then there would be no reason for Marshall to have any tarumas on Abi. Says the Gemara, where the carcass was with next to nothing, and he couldn't buy another donkey. But says the Gemara, but still, he could sell the carcass at least to rent a donkey. Im yesh b'dameh liskar, if there's enough money to sell the carcass and rent a donkey, so Yizkar. Says the Gemara, Rav holds that Marshal doesn't have license to do. Because if he sells the carcass to buy another donkey, then Abi is going to have something left. But to sell the carcass to rent a donkey, then when he's finished, Abi is out with nothing. Says Rav l'tamei. Rav goes according to his reasoning. The Amar Rav loy mechalinon karna. We cannot wipe out Abi's capital. We can't wipe him out entirely, even though Marshall doesn't give a whit about Abi's capital. But you can't wipe it out. Now this is actually a machloikis. The itmar hasaycher esachamar. Marshall rents a donkey. And it dies at midway. Amar Rav, if there's enough money to buy another donkey, to sell the carcass and buy another donkey, yikach. Liskar, but to sell it just to rent, so then Abi will be stripped clean, al yiskar. Shmuel disagrees. Shmuel amar af liskar yiskar. So even if he could sell it just to rent, he should sell it just to rent. Says the Gemara, what are they arguing about over here? So the Gemara says, Rav Savalei Mechalinon Karna, you can't wipe out the principle of Abis. Vishmol Sava Mechalinon Karna. So now the Gemara asks an interesting question. This is very interesting. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. As we welcome in Richard Rosenzweig, Sandy Grunfeld, says the Gemara, Meisvei. Here we have an arrangement where Mel, we have an arrangement where Mel gave Irving a loan, and Irving gave Mel a tree with a mashkanta de surah arrangement. Mel gave Irving a $10,000 loan, and Irving gave him a fruit tree as collateral and told him that he could eat the fruit for 10 years and then the debt will be paid. That's called the mashkanta de surah. It's a collateral, the tree is collateral, and Mel takes the use of it for 10 years and then the debt is free. Now what happens if the tree dries up? Meisvei yavei she'ilon, if the tree dries up, or niktzas, or it got cut down, it was hit by lightning, shneyem asurin bay. They both cannot use the wood for fuel. Irving can't use it because it's collateral to Mel. Mel can't use it because then he's wiping out Irving. Ketzad Yasa, what should they do? Yilokach by karka, they should take the timber of the tree, sell it, and buy with it a piece of land, and v'hu eichel peiros, and Mel, for the duration of the 10 years, will eat the fruit, and then the field will return to Irving. But here's the problem. Who was the field bought from? The field was bought from none other than Mark Frankel. Now, since it was bought, it was an ancestral field of Mark Frankel's. At Yovel, it's going to return to Mark Frankel. So then at Yovel, it's going to be Mechal Yakarna of Irving. Irving is going to be wiped out of his principal, right? If you sell the tree, says Gemara, V'ha-ha-ha, Keva Dechimati Yovel. Once Yovel arrives, Kahadra Aralamara, the land returns back to Mark Frankel because ancestral lands return to their owner at Yovel, and then V'kakal Yakarna, then Irving will lose a principal. Says Gemara, Hachaba Mayaskina, and here it's talking about the Zavan Leila Shitin Shnin, where Mark sold the land to when they sold Irving's tree, and they were able to purchase the land. So Mark sold it for 60 years. So at Yovel it doesn't go back. How do you know that if you sell a field for 60 years, it doesn't return at Yovel? That the action of land returning as Yovel will ensure that the land will not be sold away from its ancestral owner for perpetuity. But Misha Ain't Sham Yovel, that's only a sale that if there was no Yovel Nitzmeses, it would be sold for perpetuity. But Yesham Yovel and Yesham Yovel ain't in Nitzmeses. Now that it's returned at Yovel, it's not sold for perpetuity. But here it's anyway not going to be sold for perpetuity. It's only going to be sold for 60 years. Even if there's no Yovel, ain't in Nitzmeses, it's not for perpetuity. And therefore it doesn't return at Yovel. So the Gemara says, but it returns after 60 years. So after 60 years, it's going to be Mechal Yakarna. Then it's going to return to Mark, and then Mechal Yakarna, and then Irving is going to lose his principal. Ella says the Gemara, and you know when we're talking about that we sell the wood and buy the land from Mark, Bisman she'ein Yovel noyeg. It's talking about when there's no Yovel. In other words, when the Beis Hamikdash is not around, and therefore there's no Yovel, so it's not going to return to Mark. So it's going to stay by Irving, and it's not going to be Kal Yakarna. And Hochi Nami Mistavra, and it's likely that this is the pshat. The Isol Kedaitach Bisman she'Yovel noyeg, because if you'll think it's talking about when the Yovel is noyeg, Umechalin on Karna, and we're allowed to wipe out eventually Irving's capital, so then why do we need to sell the tree and buy land? Just tell Mel to sell the timber. Cut it up into wood, and let Mel take it, if we're not worried about Mechal Yakarna. So the Gemara says, well, no. We're still out for Irving's interest. Imishum haloi kasha. It could be that the years that Mel was supposed to use it will be up way before the Yovel, so that the Yovel might be 20 years later. So at least Irving this way will have the field 20 years until he has to return it to Mark. Inami, or else we want to have a chance that maybe Irving will come up with the money and be able to pay the money and get back the karka for a long time. And then he'll still have 4 or 5 years before the Yovel where he'll be able to enjoy it. So that's better than selling the timber and then Irving doesn't have anything. Now, 4 lines from the bottom of Daf Ayin Tes Amud Aleph as we welcome in Gedalia, just getting underway over here, moving at a very nice clip on this late Motzoi Shabbos. Aaron Sway did offer to give the shir on a different night, but since I want to say the shir, it's better for me on Motzoi Shabbos. The what?
Do it. Come on, I'm interested.
Well, he has, if you want Aaron's share, you could tune in. It's zoomarondaf.com. Anyway.
I'm there.
finally figured out a way to get you away. You'll go to zoomarondaf.com.
He won't pick on me as much, don't worry.
Yeah. He'll just kill you right away. Anyway, I wouldn't want to lose you, and I wouldn't want to lose Aaron. Where would we be at without you and Aaron? We'd be in deep trouble. Now, Tan Rabbana, Hasoicher es Asvina. Here, Marshall rents a boat from Avi, and you're catching the drift about what happens when Marshall rents things. V'tovala b'chatzi aderech. And he was taking it down to Venice, and halfway to Venice, it drowns. Reb Nosson says, Im Nosan, if he paid Abi already, lo yitol, can't get it back. V'im loy Nosan, if he didn't pay yet, then lo yitain. Then he doesn't have to give it the rental to Abi. So the Gemara says, hey Chidami, what's the case over here? Marshall was towing wine to sell. Now, we have to know, as Shimon will tell you, Shimon Klein will tell you, when you make deals, you have to dot the I's and cross the T's. I mean, it is. So, what was the deal that Marshall made with Abi? Hey Chidami, Ilema b'svinazu, he says, I'm renting this boat, v'yayin stam, but I'm carting wine. So why does he have to? Why can't he get his money back? Im Nosen, if he paid Abi, Amaylo Yita, why can't he get a refund? He could ask Abi, listen, give me the boat, and let me finish my journey. Neimele Hovli Svinta, give me the boat. I didn't specify this wine. I said other wine. I have other wine to transport, so give me the boat. Ella, it must be Besvina Stam. He rented a boat, and he said this wine, V'yayim zeh, this wine. So, why can't Abi tell, if he didn't pay, Abi could tell Marshall, listen, I'm ready to cart the wine that's at the bottom of the sea. Get it from the bottom of the sea, and I'll supply you another boat. Im lo nasan amay lo yitim. If he didn't pay him, why doesn't he have to pay him? As we welcome in Dr. Block, turning the page to Ayin Tes Amud Beis. Namely, Avi could cutely tell Marshall, Hovli ahu chamra, get me the wine from the bottom of the sea. V'ana ma'isina svinta, I'll bring another boat. So says the Gemara, our case is talking about where Amra Papaloi Mishkachasla Ela Besvina Zu V'yayin Zeh. Abi said this boat, Marshall said this wine. Neither of them could carry out, because Marshall's wine is at the bottom of the sea and Avi's boat is at the bottom of the sea. By the way, it wasn't Marshall's fault, because if it was his fault he would have liability, but it wasn't his fault. Right? So here it says that since it's a toss-up, if Abi got the money, Marshall can't take it back. If Abi's the muhzik, Marshall can't get it back. If Marshall didn't pay yet, Abi can't get it. Avol, but if it's Svina Stam, V'yayin Stam, if it's, he didn't specify the boat, and Marshall didn't specify the wine, so in that case, where it went halfway, so Marshall pays for halfway. And the other half, he doesn't pay. Yeah, Cholkin. They divide it. Oh, no, that's not Rashi says. Rashi says, interesting. Yeah. No, Cholkin. Im Kibel, if Abi got the full payment, Yachzer Achatzi. So he has to return half, because he only got use of half the way. V'im loy nasan, and if he didn't pay, Yiten Achatzi. He has to pay half. Now, Tan Rabbanan, Haseicher es Asvina, Marshall rents a boat, Uporka lo b'chatzi aderech, and he rents the boat to go from New Jersey to New York, and he unloads in Newark. He unloads at half the way. So he unloads the merchandise at halfway and tells Abi that's all he needs. He only has to pay Abi for half the way. And Abi only could have a complaint upon him. So the Gemara says, I don't know, this sounds very strange. As anything that Marshall is involved with. It was very strange. Hey Chidami! What's the case? If Abi could rent it out in Newark, so then why does Abi have tarumas on Marshall? He could rent it out in Newark. Amayis like tarumas. Look, Marshall rented it till New York, and now he drops him at halfway, and Abi's not going to be able to rent it out. Then he should have to pay him the whole thing. So the Gemara says, no, Abi can rent it out. He can rent it out. No, so then the question is, if he could rent it out, why does he have a complaint? Why does he have a complaint? Because there's more wear and tear on the boat. Because it means unloading it and loading it an extra time. And that's why he has a time. Says Gemara, then that's a really good claim. And for the damage to the boat, with the extra loading and unloading, Marshall should have to pay. Elamai Porka. Abi, how many times do I have to tell you? Marshall? What happened is Marshall was supposed to take the boat with his merchandise from New Jersey to New York. And Marshall being Marshall, he stops in Newark and takes an extra load. Elamai Porka, the Porka litu'une b'gavei. What happened is he stopped in Newark and he took an extra load. So the Gemara says, Elamai tarumas. What's the tarumas? He still went from New Jersey to New York. The boat didn't sink. Why does Abi have tinus? Says Gemara, you know why Abi has tinus? Because Abi's on the boat, steering the boat. And because it's an extra stop, he's going to get back home much later. He's going to miss the daf. Elamai tarumas mishum shinoi daita, because it's a change of mind. In other words, Abi was planning for the trip to take short, and the trip took longer because Marshall put in this extra stop. Inami, or he has more times. You know why? Because now that Marshall added more merchandise, the boat sank deeper into the water, and when they dock in New York, he's not going to be able to go all the way into the port because you're afraid the boat will get grounded. So he's going to have to stop the boat further out in the port. And he's going to need ashla yisera. He's going to need extra rope. And because of the extra rope, that's why you'll have tarumas. I guess it's only tarumas because Abi could always use that extra rope sometime else. But as the Rishonim say, now that Abi has to get it on the spot, he might have to pay extra for that rope. And that's why he could have tarumas on Marshall. Unbelievable that somebody could have tarumas on Marshall. Now, Tan Rabbanan. This is interesting. Marshall rents a donkey from Abi to ride upon it. Now, besides riding upon it, he also gets a stable hand to come with him, to lead the donkey. He doesn't know the donkey. So Seicher, Marshall, who rents the donkey, has maniach aleh, besides the load that he puts on the donkey, which obviously, maybe there is no load. He's riding upon it. So there's no load. But besides riding upon it, he's allowed to put his provisions. So maniach aleh ksusa, he could keep on it his coat, or his pajamas. V'lignasai, his canteen. Marshal has to have bourbon. U'mezaynai shaloi saderech, and all the francs that he needs for the road, right? And sauerkraut, of course, but all the francs that he needs for the road. Mikan ve'elech, but if he wants to put anything else on it, if he wants to put on it his chess set and his Scrabble set and his rummy cub, all his games, right? So chamor ma'akav alav, the renter could stop him. Chamor, if Abi came along, or a stable hand came along, maniach alav sa'irim, he could put on the feed for the animal. So he could put on the animal the barley, the teven, and the straw, and enough food for 24 hours. Mikan ve'elech, more than that, Marshal could say, stop, because I don't want him to be overloaded, then the journey will be slower. So the Gemara is confused. Why is Marshal allowed to take whatever he needs in food, and the stable hand, or Abi, could only take for 1 day? Hechidami, if there's food to be bought on the trip, so then we shouldn't allow Marshal to take more. Chamor nami liyakiv, let him take only 1 day supply and buy on the trip. And if there isn't places to buy, so then what do you want? The stable hand to die? Then he can't stop the stable hand from taking food if he's not going to be able to get food. Rav Papa says, it's possible to go, there's rest stops along the way, and it's possible to walk down into the rest stop and buy the food. Chamor, the donkey driver or the stable hand that's used to traveling, it's normal for him to schlep out into the rest stop and buy food. Seicher, but the Marshal, who's, he's a white-collared, spoiled guy, he's lav darkei lemitrach lemizman. It's not his way to have to go and schlep into the rest stops and get food. He needs his, premier Romanian francs, so he's allowed to take his stuff. Now, Tan Rabbanan. Haseicher esachamor lirkov aleha ish. If Marshal rents the donkey for a man to ride it, lo sirkov aleha isha, a woman is not allowed to ride it, because a woman rides side saddle, and since she doesn't sit on it in a balanced way, it's harder for the animal. Isha, if it's rented even for a woman, then roicha aleha ish, then a man could definitely ride it. The Isha, if it's rented for a woman, ben gedayla ben ketana, whether she's a petite woman or a very heavy woman, afilu muberes, even if she's pregnant, va'afilu menika, and even if she's nursing with a baby. So the Gemara says, hashta menika amrit, if she's allowed to even come with a baby, muberes mibai, then of course she could come pregnant without a baby. Amra Papa, no, it's telling you that even muberes v'hime nika, even if she's nursing and she's pregnant, so she's pregnant and she's nursing with a baby, even then you could rent it out to her. Now we see that a pregnant woman is going to weigh more because of her stomach. So Abaye says, we see from here something about purchasing fish. Amra Abaye shmami no binisa akarsa tikla. There's a lot of excess weight in the belly of a fish. And therefore, if you're buying a fish with by weight, make sure they cut out the innards, they clean out the innards before you pay, because otherwise it's going to weigh a lot more. For a business deal. Okay, we're very sensitive to what Aaron said, so we're very quick to to finish the first daf in honor of Aaron. And now we'll just pause a moment to change the channel over.